Okay, thank you for coming here. Now we'll start. Before starting, who in the room knows what is mob or ensemble programming? Show of hands. Who has actually done it? Okay, good. Who has done it remotely? Okay, can go home. Okay, so today we'll be talking about this in a high-stakes environment. Well, I will show you what I mean with this, and basically the idea is to show, well, to talk about remote mobbing, to show how it can actually work very well, and this is via showing you, if you like, a kind of case study, something that I've really done a few years ago. Quoting Gail, warning, this presentation contains some bloody fluffy stuff. Yeah, because it's mobbing, people interacting together, working together, but this bloody fluffy stuff happens to be actually quite important. Okay, so most people know what it is, but this is a feature of what you do when you are in the same office, doing mob programming. Share a computer, you see there is a share screen there, these people work together on the same piece of code at the same time. So it's pair programming on steroids, if you like. And the remote version is just like that, except you share a screen. Yeah, you are maybe over Zoom or Teams or some similar tool. And it's pretty much the same kind of interaction. One person types and everybody else provides suggestions. In a sense, I think Italians were the inventors of this, but not with programming. It was with people, the people that fix the roads. So typically there are 3 or 4 of them. Okay? One does the job, and the other like this on the shoulder, providing directions. So you should be doing this for that. And of course, to do that, there are a few tools. You can use things that I've used is Teams, Zoom. I did like IntelliJ. I don't know if you ever use IntelliJ. Also as a code with me, I think they call it feature. So you can actually share. Well, using that, seeing the ID, what the person that is typing, and you can actually type yourself, causing chaos in the process. But you should be only one person at a time. And then a tool that I've never used, but is very useful, is called this mob. It's basically a script, shell script in which you can, if you like, pass the keyboard virtually to the next person. Yeah, I won't go into the tooling, but it's basically there is stuff out there that can happen. Yeah. So some context here. Now, why high-stakes environment? Now, this is something I've done when I was working on the COVID-19 app for England and Wales. I was in the senior technical leadership. I started there as the release manager, which was quite interesting. Banging heads together all the time to get something out of the door. I released the first, I can't remember, it was 5, 6 versions. And then I led a couple of teams. This one is one of those teams. This particular gateway was, I don't know how much you know or you remember about the time, but people that were told to self-isolate by the app and were on low income, they could apply for some money from the government of £500 per week of isolation. Yeah, of course, you're on low income, and this was a way of encouraging people to self-isolate. Because otherwise, most of these people on low income will say, you know what, I really need to work here. Fuck the self-isolation, I just keep working. And it was very reasonable from their point of view. So the idea was, we give you access to money, stay at home. Yeah. Now, this particular system was needed because it was to collect personal information from these people. And why was needed an external system? Because the app itself on a mobile phone could not collect any information that could be tracked by any person at all, for no reason whatsoever, no exceptions. Yeah, and this was the contract with Apple and Google as well. And I can assure you that Apple and Google don't give a fuck if you are a government. Okay, and they said this is our way or the highway. Okay, and that was also the right thing to do. You see that. And so we had to create this system. And it was a bit of a problematic situation because high-stake environment, it means so COVID times. You remember everybody was running like headless chickens, trying to figure out a way to stand the infection. And of course, I was on the side of creating systems for this. And also we had very short and hard deadlines. Some of the deadlines there were things decided on the spot. Yeah, we need to go out with this within 3-4 weeks, something like this. just go and figure out something to do that. Unstable requirements, as you can imagine, is when there is pressure and then there are lots of people that have grand ideas, they keep adding and messing around with stuff. Hard security and accessibility constraints. Now, accessibility in anything that the UK government puts out on the web is a serious thing. If your application is not accessible, you are not going to release it, full stop. Security, same thing. Government applications are always under attack. Okay? So, again, you fail penetration testing, you don't release, full stop. No questions, there are no exceptions. Yeah? And then high visibility. I remember that for us, the concept of we've done something right was we are not in the news even today. Yeah. Because everybody was there waiting for a mistake. Okay? So if there was at least one of the things that really worked was the app itself in that time. And in fact, there is a new study. I saw some former colleagues shared some links with me. Actually, the app managed to prevent, according to this very study, 1 million infections, which is quite something. Okay? And so you can imagine in this situation, how difficult it can be to do something. And also, you can imagine how in this situation, for most managers going to, okay, let's do more programming, let's work together, they would go, you must be crazy. They tend to parallelize working. Yeah, but we'll talk a bit more about that. And then, of course, there are always complications, and the team was one of them, not because of the people involved, which were very good, but simply because the team was set up in a way that, okay, Giovanni, we need to do this application, to do this thing, we are going to lead a team, and these are your people. Ta-da! Nobody knew each other at all, never seen each other, ever. Yeah? And there was myself, it was technical lead, the delivery manager, who we actually paired with a lot, and 5 developers, most of them junior or intermediate. There was, well, let's say 4 junior intermediate, 1 senior, fortunately, and then we had access to experts from other teams as well for gaining knowledge. So just to give you an idea, the whole thing was done using Kotlin on AWS, using Lambdas and Terraform. In the team, do you know AWS? Yeah, I've done something about it on my thesis for graduation, but not for a while. Kotlin, I'm interested in learning that. Terraform, never done it. I said, great. We are going to do business here. Okay, but fortunately for some of these, we had some experts accessible. I can tell you that we had a few 16-hour days with someone that was an expert on Terraform and deployments. That was, basically, he was impossible to get in time. So 16 hours days with this guy talking, and then telling people, now you try this, because also he didn't do anything himself, he told me. So, you see an error, so what do you think is happening? It's happening, the guy goes, blah, blah, blah. Read the error message, like a very strict teacher. Okay, so a situation that was a bit problematic, if you like. And of course, the team was distributed, 5 countries and 3 time zones. Yeah. As I said, members are known to each other and limited experience with the tool. So there was also the distribution and the time zones that played also a role. Now, when my first chat with the team, what I did was I was setting the stage with them, and so this is a bit my style, if you like. So it was, okay, this is the team, I organized a call with all of them, and told them, oh, this is what we're going to do. We are a team, we work together. Yeah? And I don't care about your seniority level at all. I don't give a toss. And I really don't. What I care about is that everybody has to contribute, everybody has to have ideas, yeah? And the ideas of everybody have to be respected and considered, okay? And then there was also another thing. I've been around for quite some time, almost 30 years professionally. So in many teams, there is an overdependence on the tech lead or the team lead. Now, at that time, I had to be busy, basically fending off the barbarians at the gates. Yeah? So they couldn't depend on me. And I was clear with that. And also I made a point of saying, this respecting ideas and stuff, that my ideas were going to be treated like everybody else's. We had to get something out of the door that had to work. So it was not Giovanni's toy project, okay? This had to be done. Yeah? And I couldn't even take all the technical decisions because, as I said, there was other kind of business I had to deal with. Yeah? And then, of course, these are things, people that know me, they can testify that I actually mean this stuff. High quality. High quality means I don't want to see bugs. The thing has to be done properly. The code is, we are not going to hack our way in, okay? So, and automation, we already had for the other systems lots of automation, so we adapted some of that with pipelines. Automation had school also, we could deploy a new environment with just a click, completely new from scratch, as many as we want. High quality, code written properly, designed properly, unit test, we use test-driven development, automated testing, all this kind of stuff. For us principles, so we didn't start thinking, okay, let's do mopping, but they said, I want you to at least pair. I want at least a couple of people knowing the same code because I didn't want the situation where we could depend only on specific people. Remember, this was a situation where we were in a hurry, there was to do. If somebody got COVID and couldn't work, it could have been a major issue. Okay, so at least 2 people every time. Collective ownership, yeah? So we can touch any part of the code or infrastructure, whatever. Again, because we couldn't really, we didn't want to rely on specific individuals. Collective accountability. If we succeed together. If we fuck up, well, it's our fault. Yeah. One thing that was not allowed was finger pointing. And in all the things in the code up, this actually was the same. Never ever done anything like that. That would be really a key level for the product. Okay? And then why more programming? So what happened was they said, well, we should at least pair, but what do you think if we try more programming? And I went, well, never done this. Yeah, interested, let's do this. And why I propose that to the team? Because of, as I said, the resilience, yeah? Actually reduces the dependencies on individuals even more than per programming, right? Everybody knows what is going on. Learning, as I said, we had limited knowledge about the various bits and bobs, and we need to learn. And actually, when you put people together, it's easier to learn together. Yeah, you don't get stuck. When you try to learn something alone, yeah, look at that. Then you can have those moments. I really have no idea how to proceed. If you're with somebody, you can actually have a conversation. You can put ideas on the table. Yeah, and move on. And quality as well. Yeah. Now, one thing that I don't include in quality ever, and you can either hear me ranting about that, is I didn't want to have anything even close to what is called reviews. Yeah, they don't provide quality, they don't find bugs, and they're a waste of time. Okay, it's on record as well there, but they said it every time. So that was not quality. Okay, quality has the system has to work, has to just, we don't want headaches, we need to do it. Yeah? And then there are other aspects like, the bloody fluffy stuff. So less remote work isolation. I mean, those were lonely days. Yeah, everybody stuck at home in their own small room or in the kitchen and stuff like this. And there was a need, to talk to people. Sometimes, to me happened, for example, that a few times where I was out of a meeting, maybe I didn't have much to do, very rare moments, but then I would join a mob just to be with others and chat. Yeah? Better teamwork. Yeah, because when people interact all the time, what happens is they are actually forced to work together to solve differences out quickly, yeah, and get a better job done. And fewer bottlenecks. This is about the blocking I was mentioning before. When you split work across people to parallelize, what happens is somebody gets stuck. And when it gets stuck, it says, well, and also being remote, this makes things more difficult because I get stuck, I'm in an office, maybe I'm working with Chris, I look at it and say, oh, Chris seems to be okay. I go there, tap him on the shoulder, look, Chris, I've got this problem, can you help me? When you're at home, on Slack, you don't know what the other person is doing, and then you start thinking, I don't want to disturb them because they are just as busy as I am, I'll wait. Yeah, and maybe the other person is just like as you, but on another thing. So the reality is that there is no concurrency, or not much. It's much less than what we think. And then there is the other aspect, the integration of the work. The typical situation happens is we work separately, we don't even talk, we kind of agree some API, but then we don't talk anymore. I do my part with my own understanding of what we agreed on. Chris does his own part with his understanding, we go to integrate, and this, what the hell? Nothing works. And this, again, is another bottleneck. Okay, so and this happens all the time. Yeah, they are not, from an intuitive point of view, seem to be incorrect, but in practice is what happens. Okay? And in fact, what about speed? Again, you go parallel, you go faster. Well, actually, working this way, you can go really, really fast. Yeah, I can tell you that in one of the problems we had is that the initial estimate for this work for us was around the 8 weeks mark. Yeah, we were given around 4, and that was about it because for policy and political reasons, there were promises made to the population. Okay, and when the promises are made in the newspapers, you know that either you keep them or it's going to be a problem for the government, and of course for the people involved that didn't have access to the money as well. Okay, and so we had to be fast, but working this way allowed us to go really, really fast. Simply because we avoided all those pitfalls I mentioned before. Of course, making it work is not simply you tell people you mob or you ensemble, as it's called, and off you go and stuff will happen. So there are some things that are necessary. So the team needed some clear goals that meant something. So part of my job was I knew exactly what we needed and told the team split, this is the core of the stuff we need to do. We need to achieve this. Forget everything else. Forget bells and whistles or add-ons, anything. This is the core, we focus on this. We have 3-4 weeks, this is what we need to do. That's it. Resources and support. Fortunately, our company in this was pretty good. So in terms of anything, access to laptops and software licenses and whatnot. At some point we were mostly Macs. There was a few guys that were Windows, and Windows sometimes just doesn't play ball. And the solution was, and this person was also in a country where the Macs were not a standard inside our company, because different countries, here was a standard, there were Windows, because Eastern Europe, we want to save money and give them cheap, rapid. And so what we did was, well, this guy needs a Mac, sort it out. In 3 days, he had a Mac. No problems, no questions. So the support was fully provided. This is super important for enabling people, but also to give them a strong message, your work is important. There is also this psychological effect that is super, super important. Psychological safety, nowadays everybody talks about this. Yeah? I'm prepared to bet that most people talk about this, but they actually don't do anything to make it happen. This meant that we could talk about stuff, for real, issues in the team, and sort them out. I'll mention this later. I've been actually working this way for years, so for me it's a super important thing. And so even criticizing work of others, we had a way of actually talking about the real issues we had and tackle them. Yeah? Autonomy, and therefore this was plenty because from the company perspective, I was the lead, my word was the law for the system. From my perspective is, you guys have the team, I've got some other stuff to do, you take care of yourselves. I'm not going to second guess any decisions. However, if you get stuck or you don't know how to do something, I'm here, you ask me, either I'm able to help you or find somebody that can. But your decisions are fine. Yeah? Okay? And authority as well. So what the authority bit is, I'm going to accept your decisions and I'm going to defend them in front of others. Yeah? So you don't have to ask permission to do your job. Again, you have to mean it, not simply blah, 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 you are, and then second guess and stuff. So these things were actually fundamental for our success. Yeah? So it's the fluffy stuff that actually is extremely important to get right, especially in these kind of situations. Yeah? And then, as I said, I was busy fending off the barbarians. So with the delivery manager, we worked as a pair. I was the technical lead, if you like, and she was the more project manager one. And we sometimes split workings because we had daily meetings at one. And we acted, so if you get this book from Jim Copeland, there are organizational patterns, as a firewall gatekeeper. The firewall is what the firewall does. Block access, yeah, to the barbarians. They are not going to pass. But the gatekeeper is the one that actually disseminates information from the team and to the team. So as a tech lead, I was also a gatekeeper, telling the external world, this is what we are doing, this is the current status, this is what we think we can achieve. Yeah? And then bring the information back to the team as well. Of course, if there was a need to have somebody from the team in some meeting for some reason, we would make it happen, but the reason had to be bloody good. Yeah? So, typical day, virtual stand-up call. I mean, not the, hey, yesterday this, I have this blocker, today do that. Next, so it was more a kind of where we are at. We shared also, I think this mirror board with all our scribbles and things. We had to use Jira because some managers wanted Jira. One of the things we did as a delivery manager was use whatever you like. We do the compliance work to map whatever you do to Jira and keep people happy. Yeah? And so we had a board, like a mirror board, also with our scribbles and things, which to external people might have looked a bit chaotic, but for us it was precise. We knew exactly where we were at and where we were going to go. We were not working in terms of implement task, implement feature. We were going to what we wanted the system to do at some point in time. Okay, and it was more not about features, but more about the goals, yeah, we wanted to achieve. Okay, and then the developers succeeded. So virtual stand-up call, they would join a virtual mob room. We had a few because sometimes the entire team was on a mob, and sometimes we had two because it was like, okay, all together in a room, we need to do this, okay, we'll split up, do this, then let's synchronize again, we'll try to merge everything. So it was highly dynamic. And there was not even, you must be in this mob or this other. It's up to you guys. You know what you are doing, you choose. And for me and the delivery manager was, grab a coffee, big break, day of calls. Yeah? And basically doing the gatekeeper and firewall all the time. Yeah? Of course, we had issues. It's just, it was not a perfect thing. But surprisingly few. So what happened was, since we didn't know each other, of course, people were trying to calibrate their behaviors with the rest of the team. And when you're at the beginning, you are often afraid of offending your teammates. So it's like, there is this issue that is a burning issue for me, I have no idea what to do. And they would come to me, or one-to-one to me, with me to say, look, this happens, please help, I don't know. And then I would actually act more as a life coach. Why don't you ask, I don't know, maybe in the stand-up this and this, or talk about the problem, what we are seeing, and then we can sort it out together. I've never done that. Okay, you tell me, then I talk with a guy, and then I get back to you or stuff like this. That would have been wrong. So help them to actually surface this, and make sure that in these conversations, people who are talking about the problems, not about the others. And these have been actually building a proper way of interacting. Yeah, we were not afraid that they wanted to actually say, what, Giovanni, what you are doing today, just a problem. Yeah, this is causing this and this, and Giovanni will go, shit, sorry. Yeah, thank you for telling me. And this was surprisingly quick. You see, sometimes people, I don't know if you've ever heard of there is a model of team interaction, storming, forming, norming, performing, thing. And they go, the team go through this. I mean, for us, we had to deliver in 3-4 weeks. This storming, norming, I think was compressed in half a day, 2 days. It was just a high speed mode. But somehow I think that the mobbing or working together helped a lot for that, because we were forced to interact with each other. When you don't do this, you retire in your own room, you say, okay, I really cannot work with this person, but I don't care because I got my own task. Yeah, I don't interact with this. But this actually causes the problems to fester. And then in a remote environment it's even worse, because you don't see the people in the office, so you cannot really even see the body language of what happens. Yeah? And then, of course, as I said, we had different time zones. We had a problem. So because there was a member that was 2 time zones away, and so we would start this day much earlier than everybody else. It was like, okay, well, I'm waiting for what I'm supposed to do now. Yeah. And so we found what we did in that situation was, well, find tasks that he could do alone while people were ready. So it's still, some progress, but nothing that would require, or nothing too critical, if you like. Yeah? But still something, and this is not, I cannot give you a recipe on how to deal with this, because it's highly context dependent on anything. But when there are time zones involved, we might have this problem. With another team later, I'll mention this later, we actually had somebody in Singapore that worked London hours. And they say, well, have you got a life? Say, well, I'm enjoying this. Okay. So his days ended in the night, started very late. So, but you have to keep this in mind, yeah? The thing is that also remote mobbing, people say work in the office can be generated better, but there are some advantages to work remote. Yeah, you don't need to move a meeting room. If you ever moved in an office, yeah, you often discover that all the rooms are taken for meetings, and then it's like, what am I supposed to do now? Yeah, and if you say, well, we need this room for 6 months, every day starting, the entire day starting today. You can see your bosses saying, ah! So this is actually quite important, yeah, your space. Mobs can be created on demand. It's much easier to do that on demand because you don't need to book the rooms, so you can create a new virtual room with whatever tool you're using. Yeah, fine. Yeah, very, very quick. Access to a wider talent pool. This is another important one. So we were only in the same company, but different offices. The thing is, you don't have all the people you need in the same place in big companies. It's as simple as that. So basically, you have to make do with whatever you've got. But if you have access to somebody that is far away to work with you, you've got a bigger pool, so whatever you've got is probably a better choice. Yeah? And then, last but not least, something that is extremely important. Nobody can see you doing it. Because, you see, we introduced that in the team, but they didn't really advertise this to anybody. And the thing is, often, even well-intentioned managers that we are agile, we promote these things and stuff. When there is high pressure, they revert back to whatever are their habits. Yeah? And they go, yeah, but this time is different. Can you please split because blah, whatever reason. And they are not doing that out of being idiots. It's out of pressure. Yeah? They don't know any better, and they are afraid of trying something they don't understand in a situation where the stakes are really high. Yeah? With this, you try it, you just show progress, nobody asks. Yeah? Of course, after we did it, what happened was that everybody was, yeah, we do these things and stuff. Was kind of, yeah, we use this mobbing. We always said it was a great idea, blah, blah, yeah. But it's something that you have to keep in mind now. Yeah? So I'm not trying to trick anybody here. It's more kind of, if they don't ask, you don't care. Yeah? Now, the results were pretty amazing because we delivered this thing on time. On time as in the day that we were given. That kind of on time. Yeah? We did overtime. We did a few weekends overtime to actually get the stuff done. And working together as a mob actually helped us to be resilient. If you do overtime on a weekend, after a long week, as I mentioned before, in days of 16 hours from time to time, And then on a Saturday you are knackered, and then you connect and you are alone. It's not joy, yeah? It's not my definition of fun. If there are colleagues, it's actually easier, yeah? But of course, one thing that I didn't mention before that is actually helpful is not only when you do overtime, but in general. Now, I have some days in which if I'm not working someone, I spin my wheels, yeah? I just waste time. When you work in a mob or in pack, what happens is there is peer pressure to get stuff done, and you actually produce something also on bad days, yeah, which is quite a good thing. We had very happy stakeholders. Now, I'll tell you this story. What happened was that the day before the deadline, we weren't sure if we could deliver because there was some penetration testing going on, and we were fixing some last things, especially with the encryption of some cookies and some stuff. The situation was in hand because everything was tested, but required some work. Yeah? And so there was a cut-off time. Was given, if I remember correctly, around 8 p.m. on the day before, because if we couldn't make it at that time, we had to call the press office number 10 to tell them, look, it's not going to happen because they had to craft the message for the population. I mean, this was proper serious deadline. Okay? So it's not the typical thing you find in a company. This deadline is important, then the deadline goes whoosh, and nothing happens. Yeah, it was serious stuff. Yeah? And so, and most of the people around me, I mean, everybody knew that it was highly challenging to meet that deadline. So when I joined a call with all the other stakeholders to announce what we are going to do at around, let's say, 7 p.m., something like this, and I joined the call, everybody was like this, on video. So, okay, we are going to make it, everything is fine, we are ready, we are good to go tomorrow. There was joy, because the situation was so high pressure, so tense that nobody really believed in that. Now, and of course, an happy thing. Now, the thing is, this might have been an isolated case. Yeah? Just got lucky, good people, whatever. The thing is that we did it again. So, another project, the one I was telling you before, in my company, so after we did that, I actually told management what we did exactly, and they were kind of, oh, yeah. And so I was asked by manager and said, look, we have got a problem in this other project here. It's a big challenge. Can you talk with the managers and the tech leads there and see if you can help them out? And then the problems of depending on specific individuals and no knowledge sharing, all sorts of stuff. And the only thing I told the tech lead was, have you tried mock program? Yeah, that's it. Explaining why to try that, I gave him this example, so he got convinced. And by just doing this, what happened was that the project went back on track. So the customers all of a sudden saw things happening, and so started to calm down. The team, again, they could actually learn stuff. They started to understand, everybody understood started to understand the system, yeah? And so there was also happiness was increased by just doing that. Yeah, so it was not an isolated case. I can tell you about other cases, also one more recent in my company where something messed up with a customer, and then we had to fix stuff and say, instead of working in isolation, just do this. And again, we fix things. So it's not an isolated thing. There is something real behind it. Yeah? and this is, I think, the end. I'm very pleased. Thank you.